Hello, this is Miss Casey with Thebo Kids Art Academy, and I'm back to teach you another one of our amazing older class of Halloween projects. Now, this again is meant for our older students from 2nd to 6th grade, but all are welcome to join in, and I'm so excited to teach you this project. Today, we are going to be learning how to draw sugar skulls and dress it up and decorate it, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get started. So on my desk, you'll be able to see a sample of our project that we're going to be creating today. So again, we're going to be creating a sugar skull, have it highly decorated. We can dress it up. Maybe it's the costume that you're going to be dressed up for this Halloween or a different costume. You can definitely dress it up and make it super fun. And sugar skulls are well known in the Mexican culture, and they're also very well known to be very decorative, have these fancy intricate details. So it's going to be a lot of fun to decorate this. Now the materials that I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be working on a dark colored piece of paper. You can use black, blue, purple, or any dark colored paper that would really make your sugar skull stand out, but this can also be done on a regular white piece of paper. Now our main materials that we're going to be using are color pencils and chalk pastels to get on those details and color that in. But to have a lot of fun with it, because they are very detailed and decorative, you can basically use whatever it is that you have at home. You can use metallic shining markers, you can use jewels or bedazzled things, you can use colored paper. Now if you're using colored paper, you can also have scissors and glue handy or tape, but you do want to make sure you have your pencil as well. Okay, so again, this project is going to be a lot of fun, so I'm going to go ahead and scoop my materials over, because first we're going to be starting with our practice draw. So for our practice draw, you want to get out a scratch piece of paper. It can be from a sketchbook, it can be computer paper. I'm just moving over my materials so that way we can get started. So for my scratch paper, I'm just going to get out a piece of white paper, but again, you can use whatever paper you have. And this is going to be our practice draw. So you want to go ahead and take out your pencil. Now, so that way you guys can see my pencil lines a little bit better, or my drawing lines, I'm going to be using a Sharpie. Now, when you have your paper out in front of you, make sure that it is vertical, up and down. All right, now to go ahead and get started, we're going to come up to the top of our paper, and for our practice draw, we're just going to focus on the basic shapes of the sugar skull. So we're not going to add any details yet. So for our practice draw, we're going to come up at the top, and we're going to draw a nice big and long stretched out rainbow from the left to the right. Okay, it doesn't go all the way to the left side, it doesn't go all the way to the right side, and they end at about the same spot. So nice stretched out rainbow. Now once you have that rainbow, you're going to stretch it down just a little bit more. And then once you have a good length for the top of your skull's head, then you're going to curve it in. And then curve it right back out like a letter C on the left and a backward C on the right. And then you're going to bring those lines in nice and stretched. So we have a letter C on the left, letter C on the right. And we're going to leave those lines kind of hanging in the middle. We're going to come in just a little bit, so not directly attached to that last line. We're going to come in and draw a curved line down, and we don't want it to be too long. Once you have those two curved lines coming down, then you're going to curve it back in for the sides of the face. At the very bottom, you're just going to draw a curved line for the chin. So here we have our skull. And then for the neck, we're just drawing the bones. So we're not going to have two thick vertical lines. We're going to have two skinny vertical lines in the middle of the chin. And then at the bottom of the neck, you're just going to draw two diagonal lines that come out and over to touch the sides of the paper. So that's going to be your shoulders, your neck, or your spine, since it's just the bone, and then your skull. So those are going to be the main shapes that we're drawing for our practice draw today. So once you have that drawn, that is it for your practice draw. Now, if you're still working on those lines, don't worry too much because this is only your practice draw. Go ahead, I want you to take a look at your picture. If your skull is a little bit too big, you didn't have room for your spine or your shoulders, or maybe your skull's a little bit too small and your shoulders end all the way up toward the middle of your paper, you really want to think about those corrections that you need to make for your final draw. You want your skull to be nice and big and take up almost the majority of your paper. The spine and shoulders are down at the bottom, and there's still extra space for you to draw a costume if you want something on the head of your skull, or if you want to add some hair. So take a look at that practice draw, see what you need to correct, any changes you need to make, and then next for our final draw, we're going to make those changes. So for our final draw, now you're going to take that final colored paper that you would like to work with. So for example, for my final colored paper, I'm going to be using a dark blue paper, okay? For my sample, I used a black piece of paper. So these are pretty similar in value. They're both very dark. So I recommend you use a dark color so that way these colors really stand out. It's called contrast. You really have a difference between your light and your dark. But if all you have is white paper, that's totally fine. You can just take out another piece of white paper. Make sure that it is thick enough since it's going to be your final paper. And that's what you'll do your drawing on. So go ahead and get your final paper now. Now I'm going to be doing my final draw on a white piece of paper just so you can see my lines a little bit better. But I will be having my drawing and my final color on this colored paper here. All right, so if you're ready for your final draw, make sure that your paper is vertical up and down. Make sure you are using a pencil, but I'm going to be using a Sharpie so you can see those lines just a little bit better. Now for the drawing, again, we're going to start up toward the top. We want our sugar skull, or the skull of the head, we want it to be nice and big in the middle. So I'm going to start up at the top and draw that big stretched out rainbow for the top of the skull. Remember, it's not too wide, not all the way to the left, not all the way to the right. And then you're going to stretch out those lines just a little bit lower. Make sure that they're about the same length, same height. And then you're going to curve it in and right back out like a letter C and stretch that line over into the middle. Same thing for the right. Curve it in and back out and stretch it over to the middle. Okay, so once you have that top of the skull, these two lines that come out are the cheekbones. Next, we're going to draw the rest of the skull, which is the jaw. So we're going to not attach our next line to the end of our cheekbone. We're going to come in just a little bit, and then we're going to draw a small curved line that comes out. And same thing for the right side. Small curved line that comes out. Make sure that they're about the same size. And then to finish up our jaw, we're going to draw a line that comes down and curves down on both the left and the right. And then for the chin, you're just going to draw a curved line that connects. So now we have our skull. Next, we're going to draw the spine or the neck. So we're going to come in the inside of our chin. Remember, our spine is not the actual neck. In the neck, there is a bone called the spine. It holds up your head, but our neck and our flesh, our skin, that kind of makes it a little bit thicker. But we want our spine to be a little bit thinner than our neck, so we're going to draw those two skinny vertical lines close together. And then you're going to draw two diagonal lines that come out and over to the sides bottom of your paper. So now we're back to where we were for our practice draw. So now we have all those basic shapes. Next, we're going to finish up our final draw and add some details and finish up our drawing. So next what we're going to do is we're going to add the details inside the skull. Okay, so we want to add the eyes first. Now since we're just doing a skull, we're not necessarily going to add any eye details. We're going to add the eye sockets, which is where your eyes go into. So they're just basically big holes in your skull. So we're going to draw two large circles, one on the left and one on the right. So if you've seen a skull before, you see that there's these really big, large holes where your eyes would be. Those are called your eye sockets. And next, rather than a pointy nose, because this is just, this is not a bone, we're now going to draw the indent where the nose is attached. So it's almost like an upside down heart without any points. So we're going to draw a rainbow for the top. Stretch those lines coming down and then curve it. And you're going to draw this like upside down heart shape and attach it. Okay, but the very bottom isn't a pointed line. It's curved. It's all curved. So now that we have the nose, for the mouth, the teeth do stay attached to your jaw if you look at a skull. So we are going to be drawing the teeth, and we're also going to make it a little fun, have some personality. So we're going to make it look like it's smiling real big. So we're going to draw two curved lines up at the corners of the mouth. Go ahead and draw a curved line for the top of the mouth, and then a large curved line like a letter U for the bottom of the mouth. And then inside for the teeth, we're going to draw a big letter U for the middle, and then draw the middle teeth, those extra lines for the top and bottom teeth. And you can make those curved lines at the end of the mouth a little bit wider if you'd like. That's up to you. But now that we have those details inside the skull, we know it looks a little bit more like a skull now. Next, we're going to add some details for the spine. Now for the spine, you have different vertebrae that come down. So this like little segments or little sections. So we're just going to show that by drawing a couple of curved lines along the spine. So we're only going to have enough for 3. So you can just draw 3 curved lines, 3 letter U's. Okay, and that's going to be the end of the details for the actual skull or skeleton of our skull today, of our sugar skull. But next, our details are going to be how you want to dress it up. So, do you want to make it have a wig and some hair? Do you want to make it have a nice dress or a different kind of costume? I'm going to show you how you can add in some hair and maybe a dress. We don't have a lot to work with because we're not seeing the full figure or this full skeleton, but we still can definitely have some fun. So if you want to add in some hair, you wouldn't have it attached to the skull because this isn't a live person, so it'd be like a wig. It's sitting on top of the head. So you can go ahead and start above the skull, draw a curved line that comes up, and you can make it come down straight or you can wave it down. And depending on how long or short you want the hair to be, you can go ahead and draw that in. And then you would just draw the other side, attached to the middle, wave it down, however long or short you want it to be. Now I'm going to add some puffy sleeves along the shoulders. So I'm going to come in the middle of the shoulders here and curve it up like a mountain. Same thing on this side. And then I want my hair to attach to those sleeves. That way it looks like my hair is going behind the shirt. Now since I want that to be a shirt, I'm going to draw a collar. Okay, and then I'm also going to erase the inside because I don't want the bones to show. It's wearing a dress or really big sleeves, so you wouldn't really see any of the bone outside of the dress. So there I have some hair, I have my sleeves. You can also add some flower decorations in the hair or a bow, but you can also use that, that detail for your colored paper like I did here. Rather than drawing it, I cut out some flowers and placed it on the hair instead. So if you want to cut out paper and place a bow or flowers for the hair, then you can do that instead. You don't have to add it in your drawing. But go ahead and take some time to add in those details. I'm going to show you a different drawing that I did. So this could be if you want to draw a boy or you want to add some other details. I just want to give you some inspiration. Here I drew a sugar skull with a mustache and a nice little hat here, so you can see how you can place something going over the head like a hat, and then you would erase the part of the skull that's inside the hat. You can also add a little mustache if you'd like. Maybe he's Salvador Dali, and then you would just erase inside of those objects or those details. Maybe if you wanted, a little coat, want some shoulder pads, and then you would erase the inside of that. Okay, now we're not going to add any decoration or details for the sugar skull specifically yet. We're going to wait for that into our coloring steps. We just want to add the costume details for now. Okay, so don't really worry too much about, extra creative details, decoration. We'll do that later. But for now, you just want to add in those very simple, basic shapes, just so you know, okay, this is where a hat is going to be, or hair, or anything like that, and then everything else we'll add in our coloring steps. So I'll leave those up. Now if you want to pause and take some time to finish up your details, you can go ahead and do that. And if you'd like, you don't have to draw what I have here. You can definitely be creative and draw whatever it is that you would like to draw instead. Again, it could be maybe the costume that you plan to wear for Halloween. Maybe it's a costume that you've worn before. So really get creative and have fun. If you do need that extra time though, definitely press pause. But if you are ready to continue, next we are going to work on our coloring steps. Now, once you are all done, we are going to be I'm going to be taking my final paper. So if you drew it on a dark piece of paper or if you drew it on your white paper, go ahead and keep it out in front of you. Now, I'm going to be doing my final color on my dark paper. So if you drew on a dark piece of paper, it should look a little bit like this. Now, it may be a little hard to see, and that's totally fine. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to outline our picture. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how that's going to look. So if your paper is done in pencil, it should look a little bit like this, whether it's on white paper or dark paper. Okay, so if you outline it, if you're using a dark paper, I recommend that you use maybe like a white color pencil or a silver Sharpie to outline. It's going to make it stand out even more. You can definitely use a silver Sharpie to outline on your white piece of paper, or you can use another kind of shiny metallic marker to outline that instead. That's up to you. Now I have a silver marker here, but I'm going to show you what a white color pencil would look like. So let me get my materials here. Okay, I'm just going to show you with my my silver Sharpie here, and I'm just going to start outlining my sugar skull. Now I have this like brush pen so I can get different thicknesses of my lines, thin and thick, thin and thick. So if you want to play with that, if you have a similar kind of pen, then you can definitely do that. But if you have just like a fine point Sharpie or marker, then you can just continue outlining normally. Okay, now I'm going to show you what it might look like if you have a white paper. You would definitely still be able to see it, and it should still come off a little bit metallic-y, which would be fun. Or you can just do it with black. That will be up to you. Now, I wouldn't recommend outlining any accessories like the hat or hair with the same color you use for the skull, because you really want those to look different from each other. So you can even do the clothes a little bit of a different color. Okay, so there's my skull there. Finish up this one. Okay, so once you have your skull outlined, then you can go to a different color. And again, if you're using colored pencils, you outlined with a white color pencil on your dark paper, then you can use a different color on the rest of your details, like the hair or the hat. You can use different markers if you're using markers, so maybe you want to do a black Sharpie for the hat instead, or for the mustache. So think about those different colors and how those are going to look. So for example, for my hair, maybe I wanted it to be like a yellow or an orange. I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to outline my hair. So hopefully you'll be able to see. Might be a little hard to see my lines, but hopefully on your paper you'll be able to see how that really changes the color. Okay, if you don't have marker, you can still use color pencil and outline. If you can take, I don't have black, but maybe you can take a brown color pencil and outline the hat. Or maybe if you have like a bronze or a brown marker, you can outline with that. Maybe I'll do like a green hat. That would look kind of cool. Now, I understand not all of you will have markers. That's totally fine. Like I said, you can do this with a colored pencil. I don't recommend using chalk pastel yet. But you can do this with a colored pencil, or you can do this with a different material, whatever you'd like to use. Okay, got my mustache. I'm gonna outline it with black, but again, if you wanted to do it with color pencil instead of marker or Sharpie, then you can do that. Whatever material you're using that's able to outline, you'll just use those colors to outline it. Okay, so if I go back to here, maybe I want my dress to be like a pink, so I can go in and make it a pink instead of my silver. Okay. And so you're basically just going to outline over those details that you added from your drawing. You're not adding any other new details. You can make those thick outlines. Or maybe instead, if you do have a marker, you can take that marker instead, outline that. Okay, have fun, but again, we're only outlining what we already have drawn onto our picture. Okay, So this is our final color. Alrighty, now once we have that outlined, next what we're going to do is we are going to start coloring in. So rather than using our color pencils, we will go back to our color pencils later, but we're going to go ahead and start filling in, and we want to use our chalk pastels for that. So you can use chalk pastels whether you're on dark paper or white paper. Okay, so for your chalk pastels, if you're on the white paper or the dark paper, go ahead and take out your white, and we're going to add a little bit of shading into our skull. So we're just going to go along the edges. So along the left and right edges. And also go along the outside of the eyes, nose, maybe the mouth. And then take one finger and blend that out into the middle. You don't want to fully, completely fill that in, but we just want to add a little bit of shading. Now, if you're on white paper, I'll show you what we can do instead, because we can't add white onto white. You won't be able to see it. So we're going to do something a little bit different. Now, as you do this, if your silver or white color pencil outline fades away, that's okay. But you don't want to fill it completely, you just kind of want to add a little bit of a glow on the edges. Okay, now we don't want to fill in the inside of the eyes, but if you have your white paper, instead of white, you can take a light gray and do the same thing. So just go along the edges. Since we're not really creating a glow, you may not want it to be going around the edges of your areas too much, so maybe not the eyes. But then you can take that, you would want it underneath the hat or anything else that you're added onto the head, or if you just have the regular head. And then you would just pull that into the middle. Again, we're not filling it in completely, we're just blending it out and bringing it into the middle as far as it reaches. So now, here we were adding a glow, but here we're adding a little bit of shading since it's darker. So it's kind of going to be a little bit of the opposite. Okay, so that we have that. You can shake off any of the extra dust. And now that we have that, next we are going to fill in some of those other areas that we have, like if you have hair or the hat, those larger areas that we would like to fill in. Okay, so with that said, my hair, I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of orange to fill in, but instead of filling it in completely, I'm just going to add in a couple of strands, because when you are using a colored paper, you want to try and use that color as an actual color in your picture. You don't want to fully, completely cover it up. You want to use it as a color in your picture. So I'm just going over outlining with my finger, blending it, that color that I added into the hair in. Kind of adding a little bit of color into the rest of the hair. But I want to leave those strands nice and dark, or nice and bright, and then the rest of the hair a little bit darker. Okay, and then for my clothes, since it's a pink dress, I'll go ahead and take a pink. You can do whatever pink that you want. Now, when you're using dark paper, I do recommend you try and go with bright colors. It's really going to help it stand out. Once you're done blending that in, again, if you have on a white paper, you can go ahead and take a color to fill that in. I'm going to take my green to color in the hat. This is a larger area. I'm going to use the side of my chalk pastel. Now, I have a little ribbon, so I don't want that to be colored in yet. And then I'll just take one finger, press in an outline on the edges, and then I can take two fingers to fill in the rest. You can fill it in completely, or you can just go along the edges and get it a little bit lighter as you come into the middle. All pretty stylized. It doesn't necessarily need to be realistic. This is meant to be a fun project. Okay, now my ribbon, I want it to be black, so I'm going to take my black chalk pastel. Just add a little stroke across the ribbon, and whenever you're using black, you don't want it to be too dark. You don't want to have too much, because the black does go a long way. Now you could have also just filled this in with a black marker, so if you had any large black areas and you wanted to fill it in, you could do that as well. That also makes me think, if you're on white paper, you want those eyes to be nice and dark. So with that gray that we shaded with, you could have also taken your gray and fill in the eyes. So rather than going on the outside of the eyes, you fill it in. It's not going to be super dark, but you don't want it to be pure black. So that works out fine. It matches everything else. Again, same thing with the nose. Okay, now for your mustache, you can use black chalk pastel, you can use black marker, or even a black Sharpie, and fill in that mustache, unless you wanted it a different color. Maybe you want it orange, maybe you want it brown. You can fill that in with your chalk pastels, or if you have markers, you can do that. Now that's going to take some time, so if you have a mustache, you can definitely pause the video and fill that in on your own time, but I'm going to go ahead and move on and show you what else we can do. Okay, so for your white paper, don't forget your clothes. So I used chalk pastels, can get pretty messy, so make sure that you're cleaning yourself off so you don't get any fingerprints on your paper. But for the clothes, maybe you want it to have, so I used blue to outline, and I'm going to take my dark blue, and then maybe you want a light blue on the inside, or vice versa. That's up to you, however you want your skull, sugar skull to look and be dressed up. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more white on the area, bone area there. right, now that we are done filling in those extra areas that we colored in and that we drew, next what we're going to do is we are going to get decorative and we are going to have fun adding extra detail and decorating our sugar skull. Okay, so now what we can do, you can go ahead and put your chalk pastels away because now we're going to go back to our color pencils, or if you have metallic shiny markers, or if you have colored paper or bedazzles, now is going to be the super, super fun part. And you can do that on both a white paper or a dark paper. So if you go back to your color pencils, here I found my white. If you go back to your color pencils, you can go back in. Again, I recommend light colors. Those are really going to stand out on your paper. So I'm going to take some orange again, add in a couple of orange strands to my hair, make that stand out. Maybe I'll also add a little bit of pink inside as well. See if I can find a light pink. I'll use this one. So again, it doesn't have to be realistic. Just have fun with it. Okay, so there's my hair. Let's see. I can take my color pencils and add in a little pattern. So maybe I'll take my pink, add a little flower pattern around the eyes. And this is where you really get to start making your skull look more like a sugar skull, because sugar skulls are really known for their decorations on the outside of the skulls. So you can get really, you can have a lot of fun with this, and you can basically add whatever it is that you would like to add in. You can fill it in. Again, you can use your markers instead of color pencils. You can use shiny metallic markers, and that would look really nice as well. You can use bedazzles, and I'll show you a little bit of how all of that could look. Maybe you don't want them the same color. Maybe you want 2 different colors. Again, it's all fine. It doesn't have to be realistic. It's all up to you how you would like it to look. Just be careful because the chalk pastel does transfer. So you just want to make sure that you're not smudging the chalk pastel or leaving little fingerprints all around. If you are, that's okay. You can definitely always clean it up. I do recommend wiping off your hands whenever you need a little clean break. Okay. Maybe you want to take like a light blue and add in just some little designs. Adding some swirls here. It's a little hard to see, so again, maybe you have some metallic markers. That might make it a little bit easier to see. There we go. Ooh, that's nice and bright. Beautiful. Maybe I want to do a little silver here. Maybe bring in some pink. It'll look really pretty. A little bit of purple. Maybe I can use my pink and purple to make my flowers on the outside of my eyes stand out. If your hair and clothes outlines don't really stand out anymore, you can outline them with your metallic marker. So my dress is pink, So I can go along the outside and make a pink outline, get it to stand out a little bit more. Okay. Maybe I want to take a little bit of green. Maybe take a little bit more blue here. A flower at the bottom. You can color it in. So again, all of this decoration is totally up to you and what you would like to add. I do recommend you use multiple colors, have fun with it, get very creative. You can even decorate the background, the outside. So if you want, you can add, maybe I'll take my pink, go around and add some dots on the outside. Don't forget, we also have, you can use colored paper or bedazzles. So you can just really have fun with this. Decorate it. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. It's gonna look really nice. Maybe I'll take my green, add a few more swirls here. So again, have fun. Use multiple colors. You can even go inside, like maybe the hair or the clothes, add a few more extra details, like the hair, make it stand out a little bit more. So have fun with that. You can definitely be doing the same thing to, if you have white paper, you can go in, make those designs, color it in. You can use color pencil if you'd like instead, if you don't have marker. So you can, again, have fun with that. Like I said, you can use colored pencil instead. Okay, so have a lot of fun with that. Now it's time, I'm going to show you a little bit of what you can do with some colored paper and bedazzles. So I'm going to open mine up here. Here it is. Okay, so maybe I want to have the collar a little bit popping out. So I can add some gems to the collar. Now these ones are just stick-on, but you might have gems that you need to glue yourself. So just take the time that you need for that. Pause the video as you're continuing working. Take your time. Have fun. Don't worry about rushing or anything. You definitely want to have fun with this one. Okay, so along the collar there, maybe in some other areas. You can add in some fun colors. Keep taking off different colors. Maybe you want some around the flowers, around the eyes. Again, just have a lot of fun. This is super fun for me, so I hope you guys are having fun with it as well. And you can do it on the outsides, all of that, if you want to have flower cutouts or a bow cutout, or even maybe the ribbon is a cutout, or the mustache is a cutout. So have a lot of fun. Decide where you want that extra paper to be. But I'm going to draw my flower first. I don't want it to be too small. I think I'll have this one a little bit bigger. And you can take your scissors and cut that out. Now, whenever you're cutting and gluing, if you draw first, you're going to have, most likely you're going to see your pencil lines or your marker lines, whatever you drew with. There is an easy trick to avoid keeping that in your cut, and that is just to flip it over. So if you flip this over, once I'm done cutting it, you will not see the Sharpie lines. It will just be a plain shape of a flower. And that's a really easy way to help yourself draw it before you cut, and then pretend like you never drew it. Now, if you are cutting, make sure that you are being safe. You're taking your time. You're not cutting too fast. If I flip that over, it's a nice, as if I didn't even draw it in, nicely placed. Take my orange. Now, this is also a really good way to reuse some scraps. Like this paper here is a small paper because it's from another project, and so it's really helpful, to reuse extra pieces of scrap paper. You don't waste any paper, you reuse it, you're having fun while also helping the environment. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm finishing up my flower here and cutting that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer this flower, since it's smaller, on top of that flower. Maybe you want another flower, or like I said, maybe you want a little bow. You can definitely do that. Again, I can't wait to see what you guys made, how creative you got, what costumes you made your skull and skeletons wear, what extra details and patterns and decorative details you made on your sugar skull. Alright, finishing up that cut. Put my paper over to the side, flip that over so you don't see the Sharpie lines. Ta-da! Now I have another one. I can glue that on, I can tape it, whatever you have available to you. I'm going to take some tape, put that on my hair, take a couple more pieces of tape. Put that down. And put this one down. Remember, you always want to glue or tape on that dirty side, and then you can put it down so it's nice and clean on the other side. And then you can take your markers or color pencils again and decorate on top of those papers. Have fun. If you want to add a little center, or if you want to use a bedazzled jewel to make the center instead. Either way, it's going to look really beautiful and fun and pretty, so have fun with that. This is going to be the end of our project. We're all just finishing up our final details. You guys are making it your own, I hope, and again, having fun. This was definitely a lot of fun for me. Ta-da! And that is my final picture. This is our sample, so if you want another one to look at, if you need to re-outline anything, feel free to go back in and do some re-outlining, make it stand out again. Okay, but great job everyone. Again, I can't wait to see what these all look like and finished up. Wonderful job. And so again, that is the end of our project. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun. Please make sure to share your finished pictures on Febo Village, and I'll see you next time. I'm Miss Casey. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.